Okay. Hi, and thanks for joining us, John. For everybody watching and listening, please can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's John Truman. I'm the asset care and apprentice manager over at Nottingham Reckitt Benckiser site. I've been with the company just over a year now. I joined from a similar sort of setup. I joined from automotive previously. Yeah, and as I say, I've been with the company just over 12 now.
Brilliant, thank you. Can you briefly describe, what Reckitt Benckiser do?
Yep. So we're a pharmaceutical company. We make medical grade lozenges. So Strepsils is our brand. I'm sure a lot of people will have heard of. So we make Strepsils. We make a various array of what we call solid dose or medicine. So this is Nurofen and similar tablets for different markets around the world. And also we create and produce Optrex. So obviously the eye wash and lotion drops. As I said at the start, we're a pharmaceutical company. So yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. So as you know, this is going out to everybody watching and reviewing the National Apprenticeship Week this week. So, and it's really based on apprenticeships. So why do you think apprenticeships are a fantastic route into kind of employment?
Well, having personally been through an apprenticeship, it gave me grounds and started my career. So I am an absolute advocate of the apprentice route. I think that when you're in school or college or some sort of similar education, and you're starting to get towards the end of that, you're somewhat confused. I think the routes aren't necessarily clear for everybody, and I also think that people also find their feet as they get later on in life. Add to that as well, some people might not be so much theory based. They don't like the school and the classroom environment. Spending 10 or so 11 or so years in an education environment isn't suited to every person. And the apprenticeship gives you obviously that hands-on and that direct ability to go into a place of work and learn by doing. So the modern apprenticeship, in my opinion, and my previous experience is both. So for me, I absolutely loved being able to get into a workshop and get into an engineering business and do the do. But then spending either the first year as a full term or day release, depending on which apprenticeship, it also then backs that up with theory. So absolutely, I think they're a fantastic route into employment. It gives the employer the option and the evidence that the persons they're putting through are the right people. It gives us the opportunity to shape and to mould their ability, their behaviours and their attitude, which is an absolute key skill set to have. So yeah, I absolutely, I'd recommend it to anybody.
Brilliant. I appreciate that. So in terms of kind of the opportunities that potentially are coming up for Reckitt Benckiser, what areas do you normally recruit in?
So currently we only recruit into the engineering function, so that's managed by myself. That's within Nottingham. We have got other apprenticeships that happen within RB worldwide, but solely for myself and for Nottingham, it's engineering or maintenance based at the moment. And we've had a good level of success with yourselves, and we hope to continue that as well moving forward.
Excellent, thank you. So you mentioned it at the start in terms of what your company do, and you mentioned some of the companies that you work with. So just mention just a few. I know there's loads of them. So who are the kind of key clients that you currently work with at Reckitt?
So we actually sell direct to retail. So I think some of the key names that everyone would be aware of, the likes of Boots and obviously the high street pharmacy, NHS. So yeah, you can't really get any bigger than those three. But yeah, as I say, because we sell direct to consumer or middle consumer being the shops, it can be anyone or any shop from almost a corner shop or a street shop environment through to big corporations that we're providing for.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so let's look at kind of criteria. If you were to recruit and take on individuals who are looking for an apprenticeship, what would be your top 3 criteria that you'd look for in a suitable candidate?
I think first and foremost, it has to be desire. I'm sure it's not my saying, but it's a saying I use. It is you can teach the how, but you can't teach the want. What I mean by that is I'd rather have 10 people that absolutely have a want, a desire, and a need in some respects to be working and learning and developing themselves. You can teach them how to do the job. You can teach anyone to do anything, but you can't teach that desire and that burn to want to better yourself. So I think first and foremost, it has to be desire.
Yeah.
Honesty and integrity probably shortly followed after. So again, young people that join an organisations fresh out of school, fresh out of college, haven't really entered the world of work. They haven't entered the world of probably dealing with peers who are years older than them, older than them, and having an honest and integrity as part of their sort of personality will absolutely take them miles. And again, it goes back to teaching someone. An apprentice is an empty vessel, is an empty jar, and it's our job and the college's job to fill that jar with training and with education and with experiences. And as long as that person joins a company with those three attributes, then they'll go far.
Thank you. So if we look at individuals attending an interview, what advice would you give them, in terms of attending an interview and, putting in an application with you or any other company? So what kind of advice would you give them?
Okay, and again, I think there's a stigma around interviews, or there's a stigma around probably applying for jobs. Yeah. And if we use an apprentice as probably a young person, so 16 through early 20s, they're going to be very young in their years, but very young in their experiences. So trying to recruit somebody into a job in their 30s, 40s, 50s, the recruitment process is different. So my advice for someone attending an interview or attending a recruitment drive is be honest. Yeah. I'd rather see someone that talks about their passions outside of work, about what they do and what interests them, because you can see a genuine personality coming out. Obviously, there absolutely needs to be a level of clear communication around education and previous experience. So if we talk about engineering, someone that's obviously worked within, I don't know, a technology or a physics or a chemistry sort of background in regards to their schooling, that would help. Yeah. I'd absolutely not dissuade anyone from coming in and talking about at the weekends they like modifying cars, or they help the parents with DIY, because hands-on ability for an engineer can grow from absolutely anything. And and I think as an interviewer and as a recruiter for a big company, it goes back to, again, be honest and show who you are. And we get to know the person then. And as I say, once we know the person can fit within our organisation and can fit within our beliefs and our culture, the rest can be taught and the rest can come. So don't ever be afraid of being yourself, is the overriding message here.
And what kind of advice would you give somebody who, let's say, who hasn't been successful in an interview or hasn't been successful in their application? What kind of advice would you give somebody in that kind of way?
I think first of all, don't ever be turned off. Don't be put off because you've been knocked back. There'll be a genuine reason why you've been knocked back, and it could be not a failing of yourself. It could just be because someone else has met the criteria better. And that then sort of leads you into always ask for feedback and never be afraid of having negative feedback. And what I mean by negative feedback is where points that you need to improve or points you need to focus, because I've been through obviously lots of interviews in my career, and I've interviewed a lot. And unfortunately, if you're looking for 1, 2, 3 people to fill a job, there's going to be tens of people that apply. So if you run that percentage, you're going to come across some sort of knockback in your life, and that's not to be taken negatively. That's to be built upon. If you get knocked back and you're given an area to focus on, absolutely go away and focus on that, and almost ask yourself, if I haven't done it, what would I do? So don't ever just answer a question with no. Answer a question with no, I haven't, but I'm looking to do X, or I'm going to research Y. Always come back with an answer, or always come back with a reply that you'll go and find out.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so what kind of advice would you give somebody who doesn't meet the minimum grade requirements in terms of when they've put in an application? If they don't meet the grade, what would you say?
I think again, don't be put off by it. Again, as a person that sits and recruits for a company, I'm looking to recruit a person. I'm not trying to recruit an education. I'm not trying to recruit an experience. I'm trying to know who that person is and whether or not they can fit and whether or not they could work within our company. So if the grade requirement, as for example, is a C grade and you've only achieved a D or potentially not achieved it, don't ever be afraid of putting that forward and again be honest, but articulate and talk about what you're trying to do to overcome that or what you've done differently. I'll make up an example. Let's say you haven't quite achieved a C grade in technology, but you're working outside of work, you're doing part-time work in something that is technology based. That goes a lot further than just saying no. So don't ever be put off. But obviously, if you're coming across the same grade requirements time and again, and you haven't quite met that marker, see what you can do to do outside of education courses or do some sort of learning around it.
Yeah, well, we can always support individuals who don't meet the requirements. We've come across so many students who doesn't meet the grade requirements. What we do is we embed them into a full-time course, you see, and then the following year we reapproach that company who unfortunately couldn't give them that opportunity the first time round, and we go, right, we've actually given them a year's worth of knowledge and experience within the college environment. They've actually met that grade now, so how about giving this person an opportunity? So yeah, we can always work around that and help support businesses and individuals to get them to where they need to be. So fantastic. Okay, so last question really is, when do you advertise your opportunities and how do you tend to advertise? Yep,
so we look to take on an apprentice population once every 12 months.
Yes.
And that's something that I'm very keen that we continue to do. We currently have 6 apprentices within my organisation that work indirectly for me. And I'm looking to do the same again this year. So we successfully recruited through Derby College last year, and we want to continue that partnership and that growth forward. So my advice would be, if you're looking to apply for apprenticeship, absolutely reach out and contact Derby, speak to the recruitment team there, and just ask for some advice, ask for some guidance, or just look on the national vocational websites as well. So just have a look what's available nationwide. So obviously, I'm going to talk about my company specifically, but there's absolutely stack loads out there, absolutely loads. Brilliant.
Well, thank you very much, John, for your time and for you answering all the questions that I have. And I'm sure that's going to be useful to a lot of people out there who are currently watching this video and actually looking at, potentially taking on or doing an apprenticeship in the future. So, your information and guidance has been fantastic. So again, thank you so much, and I really appreciate your time.
No, thank you, Dom, and yeah, good luck to everyone that's looking to apply.
Thank you.